Coming up on this week's show, we caught up with the Irish soccer team at their Cork training camp before they left for the European Championships. After the break, we'll be visiting the Gum Litter Taskforce in the city centre. And to finish the show, we'll be at the Ballymaloe Literary Festival to meet Darina Allen and find out more about the festival's growing popularity. But first up, we're off to the Red Bull Soapbox Race. Hello and welcome to Cork County Matters, the weekly show that brings you news and stories from Cork City and County. For our first feature on today's show, we're delighted to bring you the highlights from the Red Bull Soapbox Race. This international event began in Brussels in the year 2000 and since then has taken place all over the world, from South Africa to Jamaica. For the first time in 8 years, the Red Bull Soapbox Race returned to Cork to descend on the infamous St. Patrick's Hill. Over 30,000 spectators watched over 60 amateur racers make their way down one of the world's steepest soapbox race tracks. The 60 teams came from 18 counties in Ireland and 3 travelled from the UK. Teams were scored by a panel of well-known judges, including the infamous Dustin the Turkey. But it wasn't all about speed, as the teams were also judged on the performance they put on for the crowd and the creativity of their soapbox design. We had a chance to catch up with a few of the teams at their pit stop in Bellsfield before they descended, and here's what they had to say.
I suppose we're at it, give or take, about 3 weeks. But no, we were burning the midnight oil a couple of nights right to get it finished. So kind of a rushing there towards the end. But yeah, we got it done. We got it finished. There was 5 of us taking part in it, so 5 of us got it done towards the end. Yeah.
Are you nervous?
Small but nervous, alright. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. I'm looking at some of the other races, some great cars, some very, very good designs, good steering, good brakes and stuff. This is just a bit of fun, bit of crack, bit of PR for the lifeboats. No, I have no intention of winning today. No, do you know what? Top 3 would be nice, but I don't think we'll be there.
You're from Scotland and you came all the way over. How did you get this over here?
Put it in the back of a van and drove 12 hours from Edinburgh all through the night. We left at 11:30 from Edinburgh. Just constantly bombed it through on the ferry. And then now we're here in Cork. First time in Cork. It's brilliant. Yeah. First time in Ireland as well.
And when you got in now and you saw Patrick's Hill for the first time, what went through your head?
Yeah, well, I saw it online and it looked okay, but then when I stood at the top of it, it's like a sheer drop. So I'm not going to need a big push. Just a wee shove, and then I'm just gonna, and he'll be pedaling like mad as well, so it's all up to him. We're not gonna win, we just want to make people happy, make people laugh. We could win. It's all up to this guy though, it's all up to Daddy, so.
How many of you are on the team and how long did it take you to build?
It's been taking about 30 hours over the 6 weeks, all in all, but there's 4 on the team. So we're all really excited for it.
And how did you get nominated as the driver?
Myself and Martin just tossed the coin. It was just that simple, yeah.
Do you think there's a home advantage because we all know Patrick's Hill so well?
Absolutely. I was last night at the VIP event, I was putting the seed of doubt on the other teams, like, geez, have you seen Patrick's Hill? You want to go up and have a look at it before you go down it? It's very steep. So I just tried to play little mind games with the other teams and just kind of rile them up a bit and just hopefully they'll use the brake a little bit more than they were planning to do.
It was a good thing that Hector was at the starting line, rigorously safety testing each of the soapboxes.
Seatbelt? None. Clutch? None. Gear stick? None. Speedometer? None.
And we couldn't miss the chance of showing you some of the epic fails of the day, such as the Class Grassmobile from Roscommon, House of Horrors from Bandon, Middleton Fire and Rescue,
Oh, that's fast! Oh!
and Hot to Trot from Kildare.
The back has come off!
Stepping out of his cart at the starting line, Paul Fennan went down on one knee and proposed to longtime girlfriend Kat Dalton in front of a crowd of thousands, and she said yes. The Rebellion job used their home advantage and got off to a great start until they met the toughest bend of the course. But driver Shane Murphy was back on the horse in no time. However, he didn't impress the judges enough in the end. The team who impressed the judges the most were Jumbo Breakfast Roll, with their impressive time of 37 seconds. And our good friends from Scotland came in third, and here's a look at their full performance. Red Bull certainly know how to put on events, and our fingers are crossed that they'll be back in Cork in the near future. Next up, we'll be taking a look at Ireland's place in the European Football Championships. The Euros began in 1960, and this will be Ireland's third appearance, having made it in 1988 and 2012. However, in both occasions, we didn't manage to make it out of the group stages. This year, for the first time, there are 24 teams in the tournament, as opposed to 16, making it easier to qualify. Similar to 2012, Ireland has again been drawn in the group of death, with Sweden, Belgium and Italy to contend with, ranked 35th, 2nd and 12th respectively, while Ireland is ranked 33rd. The tournament kicked off in France on June 10th, but before the team left for France, they trained in Cork's Fota Island resort, and they took on Belarus in a friendly at Turner's Cross. It was not a good night for Ireland, as they lost 2-1 to a team ranked 70th in the world. And here's what Roy Keane had to say at the press conference in Cork.
Well, I wanted to kill a few of them last night, so I've moved on from that. What was the question again?
Do you feel maybe you need to push some of them harder in training than...
They need to push themselves. That doesn't come from the coaches. That comes from good players, good pros. We trained this morning, the Glenn Whelans, the John Walters, the Seamus Colemans. I didn't have to push any of them this morning. Sometimes we fall into it, we make excuses for players. Oh, they've not played much football. But you're still training, you're still controlling the ball, you still have to run. You can still physically get in decent shape. You're playing international football, control the bloody ball. Pass it and move to your mates. And if you lose it, run back. And run back like you care. Whatever about excuses, I've not played much football, blah, blah, blah. I'm carrying knocks. I'm worried when players aren't carrying knocks. You're supposed to carry knocks. And every time you get a knock, you don't need to go for a scan, you know what I mean? Or take painkillers, or have 2 days recovery, or match day -2. I need to sit in the pool for an hour and a half, you know what I mean? It's a man's game we're playing, believe it or not. As a coach, whatever's gone on in the last week or two, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm working with good people as well, which helps. The manager, the staff, the players. I know when we get over there, we'll have a good go. It's all pretty good, so no distractions.
Here's a look at Ireland's key players to watch out for in Euro 2016. The one-time hurler for Tipperary brings pace to the Irish attack. Shane Long had a great season in the Premier League with Southampton and has stepped up on the international stage, scoring the winner against Germany last October. Born in Liverpool, Walters brings spirit, commitment and determination to this Irish side. He was the joint top scorer in the Euro qualifiers, scoring 5 goals, 2 of which came in the crucial second leg playoff with Bosnia. Donegal man Seamus Coleman will want to put a poor season with Everton in the Premier League behind him. Regardless of that, the fullback is defensively solid, and his capability to get up and down the flanks quickly provides Ireland with another option in attack. Out of the 3 Irish goalkeepers, it's not clear who will get the number 1 jersey. It will be a fight between the experienced Shay Given, the in-form Kieran Westwood, and the current number 1 Darren Randolph. And here's what Westwood and Randolph had to say at the Cork press conference.
It's not just about Darren, it's not just about me, or Shay, or John O'Shea, or Kieran Clark. It's about the country, we're all in it together. We're best pals, man.
Yeah, we've roomed together for what, 4, 5 years?
Man, yeah. We all push each other. If Darren makes a great save, I wouldn't be no you know, not happy Darren's made that, you know. I'd be like, great save, and we push each other on, and I think that can only benefit the squad, but that's not just with the keepers, that would be the whole... It's everybody, yeah. I think it's the year of the underdog, you know, Leicester, you know, even Sheffield Wednesday. I don't see why we couldn't, or we can't, make another story this summer.
It would be surreal to be there, kind of myself involved in one, but
We're looking to enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like a childhood dream come true, and it's something I'm really excited about.
So we've heard from management and players, but now it's time to take to the streets of Cork to find out the fans' opinion on Ireland at the Euros.
The way this year is going, they're the underdogs, so I reckon they'll get through the group anyway. I think they'll get through the group, yeah. And after that, you never know, like, knockout. So.
The standard needs to be upped, and they should be doing better, like.
But I don't think they're going to win overall. So.
Well, they beat Germany, they beat the world champion, so why shouldn't they have a chance after all?
What do you think about Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane as management?
Oh, they're great. They're great for the country there, you know.
Martin O'Neill's grand. Roy Keane, I don't want to comment on him, but he's one of the angry fellas. He'll kill the team if they lose. So hopefully they won't lose now, or else the team will be dead. So you never know.
The very best of luck to Ireland in the Euros from everyone at Cork County Matters. We're off to a quick break now, but we'll be right back with a trip to the Ballymaloe Literary Festival. Welcome back to Cork County Matters. A couple of weeks ago we featured the Gum Litter Taskforce and the great work that they're doing in Cork County. Based on the feedback from you at home, we decided to visit them again at their Cork City campaign launch. But before that, have a listen to public opinion on gum litter.
You'd see it a lot around the streets and all, and squashed in and on seats and under tables and stuff, like, yeah.
People are so disrespectful the way they throw it down in the ground. It's brought into your house, it sticks on your clothes, it sticks on your shoes. Should be fined immediately. They actually throw it on the ground.
Because every part of the town you walk, you're going to stand on it, you're going to catch something on the plate, it's stuck on everything.
I've actually been turned off now, like the minty chewing-gums, the smell of it, because I used to get stuck in my, like in school now especially, I used to get stuck in my clothes, or you go to fold your legs and next thing there's gum stuck to your knee, and yeah.
The Gum Litter Taskforce have introduced a €150 fine for anyone caught littering gum. We had a chance to speak to the Lord Mayor of Cork about gum litter and the campaign.
Well, I think first of all, there's no tolerance really for people just disposing of gum onto the streets where people will walk on it, or kids could pick it up on their, on the prams and stuff like that. So really what this campaign about is bin your gum. And we're giving out little packs here in which people can actually take out the sheets, get folded up into it and into the bin. Look, it makes our city look a lot better as well. There's nothing worse than having, all these black spots around. And we've gone to a lot of bother, Cork City Council over the year to make sure we pick up the gum with special machines. It costs a lot of money and we could be using that money in better ways. So we're asking people to join the campaign, bin your gum, and undertake that, that you'll actually make a lot more attentive measures to make sure that the gum goes into the packs and into the bin.
So there's a €150 fine. Where does that money go?
Well, that money goes back into providing services that actually clean up the street after people have still littered it with gum. So at the end of the day, if you want to pay the $150, you can donate it to us. If you don't want to be fined, and if you do want to be really sensible and be very active as a citizen, really, please put your gum in the bin.
The Gum Litter Taskforce are doing an excellent job around Cork City and County, and you can help them by remembering to bin your gum when you're done. Next up, and for our final feature, we're off to the Ballymaloe Literary Festival. But before that, we're going to take a short trip down the road to the world-renowned Ballymaloe Cookery School to meet with Darina Allen to find out more about the event and how it all started.
A friend of mine actually in Sri Lanka had this amazing little literary festival, and he came over here and said, well, why you guys should do a literary festival here at Ballymaloe. And we thought, well, if we're doing a literary festival at Ballymaloe, it ought to be connected in some way to food and wine. And Ireland has we have amazing writers, amazing poets, amazing wordsmiths, so it's lovely to connect food and literature in some way. I've been fortunate to travel quite a bit and meet some of the top food writers and chefs and cooks all over the world. So I just picked up the phone and asked, would you like to come to Ballymaloe to a literary festival? And virtually everybody said yes. So Rory walked around the farmyard in Ballymaloe and found the big shed where a lot of grain was being stored. And he said, look, this is where we should do it. So they cleared out the big shed, got a whole team of great creative young people in there, and they do all kinds of installations and graffiti, and they, hammered up some furniture with old pallets and got loads and loads of wildflowers, and then got in lots of amazing food stalls. So that's the whole kind of throbbing heart of the festival, so that everybody feels they can come. There are actually over 30 nationalities here this weekend. But the reason why they're flying in is because of the lineup of speakers and chefs and writers that we have. And it's like totally world class. So that's what we want. We want people in Ireland to have the opportunity to meet and to hear and to mingle with these extraordinary people. And we want them to understand what we have in Ireland. And they go back, many of them are writing columns in the New York Times or the LA Times or Washington Post, and bloggers, of course, as well. And they're going back and they're spreading a word. Every year we it evolves a little bit, and this year there's a symposium in the grain store, and we in a way we're inspired a bit by the TED Talks and so on, so it's like 10-15 minute slots of really inspirational speaker talking passionately about their subject. And gosh, it's been absolutely thronged, and people are coming out so inspired, and great conversations are starting around food and how it's produced and food issues and waste, and it's amazing. So it's been so fun, because when you decide to do something like this, you're never quite sure how it's going to go, but from the first year it just somehow took off.
Next, it was time to head back to the main event and catch up with some of the producers and contributors to find out more about them, as well as their experiences at the Litfest.
We've been very lucky to be here from the beginning. It's fourth year now, so it's been fantastic to see the evolution of it and how it all happens, but yet the essence is still the same. Ballymaloe itself is such an important hub for the food world in Ireland, and the literary festival, like the cookery book side of the literary festival, sort of brings these authors, also established chefs and everything together into this place. And I think that's created this unique atmosphere, because people coming to see their food heroes who've written their books also have, I suppose, a high standard of what they're looking for to eat. So therefore it's kind of all meld together.
And has it inspired you to want to write a book yourself and become part of the literature? Has it really?
Yeah. It was actually a couple of years ago we wrote a book. My mum actually was very much involved. We all got stuck in, but my mum was the author of that. There is this thing about probably bringing your world to people, and I think what's lovely is showing people a bit of what we do at home. I mean, literally, we have a farm, we have our cows, we mix the milk produces the cheese has the cheese whey, which we feed to our pigs. The pigs produce all the charcuterie and the salamis that we have here. We go to the farmers markets. My sister's an organic grower and a chef. So I think the thing is that there's a little bit of a story of the field to fork element, and I think putting that down was actually more for us than anything, because I suppose it helps you analyze yourself and everything else, and it's actually quite a journey of discovery. More than anything, actually writing a book. It's a lot of work, but it's also quite an interesting experience and journey. I mean, a lot of the big names have travelled from quite far, and what's lovely to see them come to Ireland and lean against the bar and have a drink or sit down in a cafe and not be harassed and not be anything else, but yet feel comfortable here, because we want them to come back. And I think that's hopefully part of the Irish hospitality, is to make people feel welcome, but at the same time comfortable.
So I'm here at the Ballymaloe Lit Fest because I have written a play about beer that I'm performing later with my sister, but both of us, Judie and I, work in the Drinks Theatre over the weekend, which is like the hub of everything that has to do with drinks. So we have great talks, and then you also get to back those talks up with tastings of really unusual and fabulous things. So Jancis Robinson is talking about wines that are like undervalued, so at really good price points because they might have fallen out of fashion but are really still wonderful drinks, and lots of other spirit tastings as well. So it's really an opportunity to kind of open your senses and smell and taste new things that maybe you haven't tasted before. It just creates this buzz that you can be just like walking through a courtyard and you can see these like luminaries of like food and drink that have just changed the way people consider food and drink. And to have it here in this wonderful open space, a working farm, the Drinks Theatre is a tractor shed for most of the year, and then for this one weekend it becomes this hub of like knowledge and sharing and tasting experiences. I love the family friendly aspect of it. There's kids and dogs and there's all kinds of fun things happening around here. So it just becomes a really kind of laid back and inspiring space. I feel like there's a great buzz and a wonderful energy.
Des, you're one of the only commercial blackcurrant producers left in Ireland. Is that right? And can you tell me your story?
That's correct, yes. Blackcurrant industry, it was never a massive industry in Ireland, but we still had quite a strong position. Up to a few years ago, there was 5 of us growers growing as a group, and unfortunately in 2013 we lost our contracts, and the 4 other guys packed up growing, and I just, through trying to add value to our product and making our new blackcurrant cordial, it's just been a lifeline, and you can see if we can literally just keep the business alive and hopefully grow and maybe make blackcurrant a thriving industry back here in Ireland again.
So Helena, you're from Coolmore Bees. Now bees have been in the news recently a lot. Can you tell us why?
It's because they're struggling at the moment. Just with all the pesticides being sprayed and the cold weather, and this mite called a varroa mite is actually wiping them out. But they're responsible for 1/3 of our food. So if bees are away or are gone, then 1/3 of the food that we have in the supermarkets would be gone as well. So what we're doing is actually trying to conserve them. So we're breeding the Irish black bee, which is more suited to the Irish weather,
And is this a worldwide problem, or is Ireland suffering more than other countries?
It's actually worldwide, yeah. So so it's affecting everyone, really, yeah.
Now you're a family business. I just saw 3 sisters, mum and dad are also involved.
4 sisters, yeah. 4 of my dad has his work cut out for him, but he has lots of helpers, so it's good.
And when did you get involved with bees in the first place? Was it always at home?
It started off, my granny had a hive, so my dad became interested that way. So we started off with 2 hives, and then we had 200 hives. But with this mite now, we've dropped numbers, so it's a huge problem for us. But what we really need is like the kind of public really to just learn how to love bees and plant bee-friendly plants. Especially during this kind of June gap, the bees don't have any flowers. So if you plant stuff like Phacelia, it's great. It's also great for your garden, so it's kind of a two-way thing, yeah. And buy raw honey, which would really support the beekeeper.
We hope that you learned a lot from Ballymaloe and enjoyed this week's show. If you have any feedback that you'd like to send us or ideas for stories to cover, you can email us at cork@irishtv.ie and keep in touch with us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks a million for watching, and we'll see you next week.